blue are reversed. This time, it's hockey at the shoot. The Blue Jackets and Red Wings take it outside with the Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series. Buy tickets now.
Christine, have you ever bought something and thought, wow, this product actually made my life better?
Totally, and usually I find those products through Wirecutter.
Yeah, but you work here.
We both do. We're the hosts of the Wirecutter Show from the New York Times.
It's our job to research, test, and vet products, and then recommend our favorites.
We'll talk to members of our team of 140 journalists to bring you the very best product recommendations in every category that will actually make your life better.
The Wirecutter Show.
Available wherever you get podcasts. Immerse yourself in a world of over 1 billion vibrant colors with Vizio's Quantum QLED TVs. No matter where you're sitting, everyone gets the perfect view thanks to wide viewing angle. Enjoy truly immersive gameplay with 120 FPS at 1080p. You can even stream your favorite songs with the iHeartRadio app, ready to go on every Vizio Quantum TV. From movie nights to gaming marathons, the Vizio Quantum TV delivers unparalleled performance in picture. Head to Walmart to find your Vizio Quantum TV today.
He's a bad influence. But nobody is stupid enough to take him seriously. The Stansberry Show. Rock 1069.
Welcome to Tuesday morning here on the Stansberry Show on Rock 1069. Online, that at WRQK.com. That's exactly where the podcast is posted. So if you missed Monday's show, anything last week, last month, last year, pick it up all there. WRQK.com. A lot to get to in this morning's program. 8 o'clock. Some new lawsuits filed against Diddy. There is some stomach-turning details in one of these new lawsuits. It says repeatedly in here, Diddy and 2 other celebrities, 1 male, 1 female, were in attendance. I feel like the statement I almost said there is I want to know who those other 2 celebrities were. I feel like in reality, what I mean to say is we need to know who those other 2 celebrities were. We may get to the bottom of that in Diddy's court case. I think, though, they say a lot of that's probably not going to start taking place until like May and all that. You know, the wheels of justice, they turn slow. Those wheels of justice, they turn there. So, but we do have new lawsuits accusing Diddy of some pretty horrific things. Not going to be judged in the moment, judged by who you were leading up to the moment. There's been enough of Diddy's life and career that has people going, yeah, I'm starting to kind of feel like homie's kind of guilty of this stuff. Once the lawyer went to like, well, Costco sells that much lube, it was like, oh, right. Like that felt like a pretty desperate excuse. And then Costco had to come out and be like, we don't sell the lube. What are you guys talking about? And not one of our stores do we sell lube. I remember saying I thought it was crazy that a retailer had to even defend themselves in that manner, but of course you do in today's day and age, right? Because how fast things pop off, fake news, misinformation, all that kind of stuff. It's everywhere. Everybody's guilty of it, right? And so I understand Costco's like, no, not dragging us into this. And I would want to separate myself from Diddy. They say, I heard a PR expert on TMZ last night, as a matter of fact. I saw something on TMZ's socials. They had a PR expert in Hollywood, and he said, now this should be like file this under duh, but he's like, oh, his name Sully, like nobody wants anything to do with him. Like long-term friends are now going out there telling anybody who will listen, no, I got nothing to do with Diddy. I want nothing to do with this. The people, I guess, are really worried about a ripple effect. I got to be honest with you. I think you'll see more fallout. This is just an opinion on speculation. I think you'll see more fallout from the Diddy ripple than you will from the Epstein ripple. Right? We've been hearing about that Epstein list and everybody who's on it, and both sides are on it, and this guy's on it, and this guy's not, and I was never on the island, and all of this and all. Like, I think, I'm just kind of like, I don't think we're ever really getting to the bottom of that one. But I feel like this Diddy thing, you will probably see 2, I'll go as high as 10 celebrities who end up getting their just due. At least suffer the cancel culture of, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not. I think at least between 2 and 10 celebrities are going to deal with some serious PR nightmares over their friendships and hanging out with Diddy. I think you're going to see that happen, and sounds like maybe not all that long. So 8 a.m., we'll get there. Also, Myles Garrett. Some fans are being very critical over Myles' defense of Deshaun yesterday. Also Jameis as well. Now we got Myles Garrett trade rumors. Now this is one of those things. You saw a lot of this yesterday in the headlines. Teams interested in trading for Myles Garrett. Yeah, you mean since he came into the league? You know what I mean? It's Myles Garrett. He's one of those guys. You want him on your team. And teams now smell blood in the water. Like they do. They're sharks and they smell blood in the water. The Browns are a mess. And so it's like, how fast do they think they can fix it if they start getting the right picks back? If you're a GM around the league and you're looking at what's happening with the Cleveland Browns and you don't pick up the phone to call Andrew Berry about some of his players, then you're a bad GM. You're a bad GM. I would call, absolutely, hey, buddy, your office is on fire. I got an extinguisher. Do you want it? Absolutely. If you're in the fire extinguisher business and you drive past a fire, press the brakes, man. Like, you are gonna call Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and be like, yo, man, I think I can help you out of this mess. I mean, when Aiden Hutchinson went down before the Deshaun mess, this latest Deshaun mess is what I should say. When Aiden Hutchinson from the Lions went down, people were like, dude, call Myles Garrett. That season's over. They'll probably move off Myles. Now, it seems to be, that the general consensus is this, that there are a couple of guys that are untouchable on this roster. Nick Chubb seems to be the guy people are like, dude, they're not. You're never talking about it, okay? And then Myles Garrett, and it seems as if some other people seem to think that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah could be that third guy. And I think he probably is on the list of like, oh, we really don't want to do that. I think quietly he's been your best defender for a little while. Myles Garrett's the marquee name. It will bring, I think, a couple of decent picks back. I think it's less likely that there's no chance they move him. I don't think the probability all that high that they do. But we'll take a look at some Myles stuff. We'll do that 7 o'clock. Also, fans' reaction, players' reaction to yesterday. This thing has been blown a little out of proportion now, of course. Hey, give it a day, right, and see what happens there. Also, NFL fans are furious with NBC over how much they show Taylor Swift. But this time, it doesn't really have a whole lot to do about Taylor Swift. So we'll get to that crazy story. We'll do that part of our 7 o'clock hour conversation as well. Also, New Turn Tuesday, 9 o'clock this morning. Got new stuff from the Struts. They feel like they've been a little quiet, little inactive recently. Can't stop talking, the new one. I do think it has limited them, though. It's good, but it's not necessarily the most mass appeal. But I think they're a talented band. He pressed pause on 2004, right? Like, it's kind of what Breaking Benjamin sounded like. There, it's like, hey man, remember when we were big thing like 2002, 2005? Let's maybe see if we can keep that going, right? And so I think that's one of their things. But stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. That's just kind of how it goes, right? I mean, it's like you are who you are. It's like I've said about Jelly Roll, I've said about AC/DC, I've said about band. It's like you sound how you sound. It's who you are. So we'll give you those three. That part of New Turd Tuesday, that at 9 o'clock. Also at 9 o'clock, Let's Rock the Bank. I'll pass out that first $1,000 keyword here, right on the Stansberry Show.
The Stansberry Show.
He's insane. Sleep with him.
On Rock 106.9.
Seems to be a delay with my hockey. Something's going on with those music beds. I apologize about that. Welcome back to the Stansberry Show here on Rock 106.9. We're online at WRQK.com. Rocking the Bank with you, 9 a.m. Also at 9, New Turd Tuesday. New stuff from the Struts. New Morgan Wallen. New Breaking Benjamin. Yeah. Do all that at 9. While I was looking through the internet yesterday for all of the interesting things, I did run across this, and I've never. My experience with Europe is non-existent. I've never been. Right? I've been to Canada. I've been there a couple of times in a lot of places up there. I've been to a few different places in Mexico. That's about it. Pretty much everywhere in this country, my international travel, not really a whole lot, right? And so they got to talking about the differences in, the UK and here, right? As some Europeans are over here, whether it be studying abroad or have moved here or whatever, they're noticing here's some differences. One of the ones everybody knows about is there's just a lot less air conditioning over there across the pond, apparently. That's the number one answer given by Europeans was like, yeah, man, like if you go over there, you're going to be shocked about how hot you are literally everywhere you go. It's just one of those things. They just don't. I mean, they have it. It's not necessary, even people who are considered to be by politicians here, like poor people, have air conditioning. A lot of them do. And not everybody, obviously, but like a lot of people do. We do. That is one of those things I can admit that it kind of feels like we do kind of take for granted. Just let it crank, let it run. And I'm not saying it's, ruining the planet or whatever. I'm just saying it is one of those things I feel like being inside cool is one of those things that I probably do take for granted. And I shouldn't, of all people, because I'm one of those that if it's warm, I'm unhappy and miserable. Like, I can't fall asleep if I'm too warm. Like, I'll toss and turn all night. I need it to be a little cool. They also say the directness in communication. They say you go to Germany or the Netherlands, they're straightforward in conversation there, which to a lot of Americans, they say will come off blunt or rude. As we're used to more indirect communication. See, it's weird, right? Because, normally isn't the stereotype that everybody else around the world is, they're so pleasant, have manners and culture, and America are just dumbass, rude people? So I find that one to be a little interesting. I think Americans can be rude if you're here and you're struggling with the language or you don't, right? Americans can get a little rude about that. They say eating dinner at 10 o'clock. Europe, normal. U.S., you're met with confused looks. Well, the pandemic changed the game in dining all the way around. It just did. Dining is just different now. Food's different, restaurants different, who and where you go is different, feels different. And so I wonder how much of that is pre-post that, not necessarily difference in cultures. I also think there's an age difference here. I remember being young enough to be like, I'm not even leaving the house until 10 o'clock. Now it's like, I want to be home by 10 o'clock. So I think there is one of those things there. it's also going to be about what your schedule is. The later you go to bed at night, the later you're probably willing to have dinner. Every time I've had dinner at 10, it was dinner part 2, right? Like I probably ate something somewhere, a few hours before and to hold me over to that or whatever. But it's not necessarily, I don't think 10 o'clock is a standard dinner time. I don't think 5 o'clock is a standard dinner time anymore. I'd be curious. When do most people who live in Stark County sit down to eat dinner? 6:15? I'm going to guess, 5 o'clock, you got to get off work. You got to deal with 77 or 30 or whatever the hell it is on your drive home. You got to deal with everybody in this town for some reason doing 10 miles per hour under the speed limit versus over. I'll never understand it. I love every last one of you. I would take your car keys from every last one of you. I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I'm easy to annoy. That might be about me, not necessarily about the driving habit of every other person. They say here, not refrigerating your eggs is one of those things that if Americans go over there, you'd be like, what are you doing? And when they come over here, it's like, what are you doing? I've seen this here, and I've seen the debate on social plenty of times, where it's like, do you refrigerate the eggs? My eggs are currently in my refrigerator. I have this crazy system about groceries. Where I bought it in the grocery store, wait for it, is where it goes in my house, right? So, if I bought it from the refrigerated section, then that's where it goes. Now, I guess you could talk about condiments throwing you for the loop there, but literally on the label it says, wait for it, refrigerate after opening. A lot of condiments will anyway. Now, the ketchup one gets strange, right? This isn't even about the Europeans. This is just about, us Yanks, if you will. But, there's a heated debate on that, on socials, it seems. Not daily, but, it'll come up every now and again about whether or not certain things go in the refrigerator. Butter. My butter goes in the, well, actually, that's not true. No, I moved to stick butter, and I keep it on the counter in, one of those, glass tray type things. And because I want it soft for the bagel. I don't want to poke holes in the bagel. I want to spread, right? That's what I'm looking for there. I'm looking for ease of access. It's not I'm not looking for, bagel virginity. I'm looking for the bagel slut, spread it all over the place. I want it easy peasy there. So yeah, butter's out on the counter. But ketchup is one of those condiments that part of what I want it for, it almost tastes too sugary for me these days, but almost what I want it for is the cold snap of it on the hot food, right? The cool crispness of the ketchup is what brings out the flavor in the hot dog. I may have spent too much time thinking about this, and I've definitely probably spent too much time dogging about that. That's probably true. They say suggesting a medical visit for a mild injury is one of those things. And now, they don't say which one of us does that more. I would imagine that has to be, it's more likely you do that over there, right? Most people I know here, unless the pain is so bad, people can visually see it and ask you what's wrong with you, you're probably not going to the doctor.
The Stansberry Show.
Every time I see him, I hear circus music.
On Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show, 9 a.m. I'll rock the bank with you. That first $1,000 keyword gets passed out. Also, 9 a.m., New Turd Tuesday, new stuff from the Struts. New Morgan Wallen, new Breaking Benjamin. We'll get to it. 9 a.m. this morning. Have been talking about some differences, Europe and the States. They say nudity in TV and print media. Apparently that's a little bit more common over there than it is here. And we've talked about this before. It's weird with sexuality in America. Because this country feels a little repressed the way we approach it and talk about it. And then at the same time, it's we have Hawk to a podcast. So it's not that repressed, right? OnlyFans creators are making more money than Aaron Rodgers. So it's well, how repressed are we? And so it gets into a weird territory there. As a guy who gets accused of being dirty, even from inside my own building here sometimes, I think they're wrong about it. But I will get accused of that. I am not interested in seeing more nudity in TV and print. I'm not necessarily interested in more of it. If it makes sense for what it is we're consuming, okay. When we try to put it in for the sake of all right, now they're going to wake up, I'm not into it for that. Now, I no longer need that. There was a time in my life where it was like, just have naked people. I just need them, right? I'm in that zone of life and I need to see naked people, right? I don't necessarily need that anymore. At my age, and also the phone kind of changed the game with all of that. But I don't, that's a difference between us and the Europeans I'm perfectly okay with. They say drinking at 18 in bars. Yeah, a lot of other countries, you can do a little of that. I had an Uber driver here in Canton once, and she asked me why she was picking me up in the morning to take me to my car. And I said, well, I drank last night. She said, oh, you Americans. She wasn't from here. And she kind of got into the fact of like, where she was from, and I forget where it was, they start drinking wine at the dinner table at like 11, and you start to have like a little bit of a different relationship with it. Stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away only makes people a little bit more curious about why you want them to stay away from it. So I understand that school of thought. My parents were pretty restrictive over vices. And my brother and I ran towards them as fast as we possibly could. Now, that's anecdotal at best, but there might be something in that. There might be something in that. They say drinking alcohol in public places. Many European cities, it's perfectly acceptable to enjoy a drink in parks or at the street, while in the U.S. it can lead to fines or legal issues. Depending on where you are, I remember when we had Dora introduced here in Canton, everybody said, this is going to be the end of the world. And I said, no, it won't. No, it won't. The people who are going to go downtown to do it are going to do it. This isn't going to make anybody go downtown who wasn't going to before. And so, it'll be much ado about nothing. Mostly, since Dora has been enacted here in Canton, it's mostly been much ado about nothing. So I think you're starting to see more and more of that in the States when you're getting in towns this size, more and more places are moving to where you can drink in streets and the like. Hell, Vegas, you can drink in the passenger seat of a car, for crying out loud. Can't drive, but you can drive down the street. At last I heard, they may have changed that now, but I've been in Vegas plenty of times drinking in the passenger seat of the car. I'm like, am I breaking the law? They're like, nope. I'm like, this place is nuts. This place is nuts. But that's a thing. You can do that. Doug made me aware of this, and then I went to the interwebs, and he's right. Apparently, some Europeans, the difference they have there is that they wash their dishes. They don't rinse them. Some of you may have heard about this. Apparently, this went viral sometime last year. I missed this. Apparently, what the method is over there is they call it washing up, right? And at first, I read this fast. I was like, this is exactly what we do. What the hell is the difference with this? But then I went back and I read it again a little bit more slowly, and sure enough, I missed something here. So the method is, what you do is you put a bowl in the sink. Right? Now, when you think bowl, you think like ice cream bowl. This is like a mop bucket, essentially. They say, so you put the washing up bowl, mop bucket, into your sink. You fill that with the water. You put then the dish soap in there. Washing up liquid is what they call it. Wash the dishes, sponge or cloth, and I will do this often as I live alone, and so the dishwasher is not always necessarily the thing. Wash them, kind of put them on that drying rack, dry them with a little towel in about a half hour, put them in the cupboard, good to go, right? I do that a lot. They say, so you fill up the washing bowl there, you get the dishwashing liquid in there, you wash the dishes, sponge or cloth. Now this is where you and I, red-blooded, good-hearted Americans, would take that dish then and put it underneath running water for the R word, the rinse. I call it the R word there because apparently in Europe, that's a dirty word, they don't be rinsing. Now I'm going to guess this is about using less water, right? This is the same reason why the air conditioning is not as prevalent over there. There is a little bit more of a concern for the global warming issue in that side of the world than there is over here. I will keep my air conditioning. I don't want to be lectured to about it, right? And so, but I'm going to guess that's what the Europeans are doing. Is their theory that once the soap dries, it's okay? It feels strange for me as an American, knowing the average health of myself and everybody I know, to look at the Europeans and be like, Jesus, dude, no wonder they're a mess. Because it's like, look at the average American. It's like, we're a mess. That sounds gross to me. I like the rinsing. I want to shower daily. I want to wash the dishes. I like water and soap. You know what? As we are in election season, that would be my platform. I am on the soap and water platform.
The Stansberry Show.
You're a very easy man to hate.
On Rock 106.9.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page at Stansbury Show. Rock 1069.
Next hour, new lawsuits filed against Diddy and some stomach-turning details in that. Not great. Then 9 o'clock, rock the bank, pass out that first $1,000 keyword. And Travis Kelce first, who always talk about everybody else being a snowflake, melt down about the fact that a guy who catches passes is dating a woman who sings songs. Oh my God. And people were shocked that they garnered attention everywhere they went. Listen, she is the most famous woman on the planet, and he plays the most popular sport inside this country. He also plays for a pretty good team and brand, and he plays with the most well-known right now and probably best quarterback. Hasn't been his best season physically for him personally. Team success still pretty good for number 15 there. And it's also easy to believe that two young, attractive people looked at one another and were like, "You're attractive? Who are you? Hey, wanna maybe see if this works?" Because, you know, it happens every day. Yeah? She kind of feels like America's cheerleader, and he's playing football. Yeah, you never see the high school athlete bang the cheerleader. Never happens. I never understood it. Like, I just never really got it. Then you move into like the, oh my God, the television channel showed her because she's at the game. Oh my God. And again, I had to sit men down and be like, buddy. A little tough to talk about being alpha when you're going to cry about a woman being on television, right? Little tough to be tough when you're being a baby, all right? She's famous. You mean to tell me a television camera pointed itself at a famous person? I don't believe you. Then it got so crazy what had to happen. They counted how long she was on the screen. During a 4-hour football game, it was, I believe, under 45 seconds. No way. I always thought it was crazy. Then we got real lucky. And by we, I mean me. Then I got real lucky. Because what had happened is Eminem was at a Detroit Lions game. From Detroit's kind of different. He's dating the tight end, kind of different. They show Eminem in the crowd. Leave the camera on him. Nobody says a word. But wait, famous. Not have nothing to do with football. What are we doing here? As if the NBA television cameras haven't pointed their asses at Jack Nicholson his entire life. Spike Lee with the Knicks. I mean, we used to celebrate seeing celebrities at these things. But the problem is that everybody's out in your face too often. Socials has kind of done this. There's no off button anymore. So people are hitting the saturation level of everybody faster, I believe, this is speculation, than ever before. And people lost their minds about it. They're doing it for the rating, Stansbury. It's for the rating. I'm so smart, I got it figured out. It's for the rating. Okay, well, she wasn't at the draft that pulled 65 million viewers. The draft! But they had to get her at the Super Bowl so people would watch it. What? What? Makes no sense. Zero. Never made any sense. Okay, man, but this was all last year. Nobody's talking about Travis anymore because he hasn't been playing great. Nobody's really talking about Taylor anymore. Why the hell are you bringing this up today? Well, because there's another one of these. And I believe it's just as silly. This is the former president got all the headlines over the weekend because he was in Pennsylvania. He pulled the McDonald's stunt. We talked about that yesterday. A lot of you did not like that. But we talked about that. I called it a stunt every time we talked about it. I don't know what more you want me to say. Stunt. Where are you going? But a stunt. Right? And then after that, or I believe inside that, around that, group of events, he also attended the Steelers game Sunday night. Crowd I know because I've seen all of the video on social media. USA. I mean, it looks like the bulk of that crowd. Now, you can also go on social media and see this. Trump getting booed at Steelers game, and it's one guy giving him the finger who's standing like in the section, like right in front of where Trump had been sitting in the box. He's in the first row outside of that. Now, if you ran with that all day, it's getting booed at the game. But if you see the video, it's like, oh yeah. He's absolutely, dude, these people would carry his ass out on their shoulders right now. I mention it because people are mad because NBC only showed him the one time. Oh, you'll show Taylor Swift 100 times. Only gonna show Trump once. Blah, blah, fake news media. I think there's a few differences in these things. Okay? First being, I think when the president goes to something, it feels like, yeah, you're the president. You should be at stuff we like. I'm not so sure I feel the same way. Not that how I feel matters all that much, but I'm not sure I feel as if it's the same when we're talking about a game. I don't think it's awful that they go, and I understand why they do it. It's one of those, America, I'm just like you. We're not elite. I'm going to sit at this basketball game, drink this beer. I'm going to sit in this box, watch this game. I'm going to do this, right? I mean, it's not new. It's been a thing forever, right? But I do think there's differences in those two things. First, Taylor Swift is only divisive under this, like, premise. If you don't like pop music, and it's like, dude, she kind of sucks, I hate her, blah, blah, I don't like pop, then it's divisive, because it's like, why do people like crap music? And you know she's voting for Kamala Harris. And she's going to urge her, but she's not a politician. Using her platform to raise awareness for a candidate, I'm perfectly okay with it. It's not necessarily my favorite thing celebrities do, but it's okay, it's fine, you're allowed to do that. And so, like, she's not necessarily divisive. Say what you want about Trump, and plenty of people have been killing me lately for what I have been saying, because I have been giving him credit for when I see him doing things that's like, well, I bet that's smart. And I'll stop here, hold everybody's hand to say that when I tell you what I think I see, I am not jumping up and down celebrating any of those things. I'm just seeing it. There's a difference. Truth is, if I didn't get paid to talk into this microphone, I wouldn't even pay attention to it. I'd be closer to not having any idea who was running. Because, honey, I'd rather be happy. I'd rather be happy, man. But, like, this isn't a thing. The man is running to run the country, and he has gone out of his way to be divisive. He has. He knows that. It's one of the best cards in his deck. He loves that about it. I understand NBC saying this isn't the same thing as Taylor. Taylor is just a famous woman who makes pop songs that are big, and like she's an entertainer and we're in entertainment, and so is the NFL. I think what NBC is going to say to you is this: this isn't about Taylor Swift. This is us listening to you for the last 10 years. What? Why would you listen to it? Keep politics out of sports. Showed him once because he was there. Otherwise, we would have yelled about the fact that they didn't show him because he was there. Showed him. You what you wanted. We're keeping the politics out of the sports. Now, are they conveniently choosing when they like to do that? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And is it not necessarily great for NBC to have on their air 60,000 people in the middle of the country screaming USA as they get one look at it? Yeah. If you're NBC and you know what they want, and they do, they've been open and honest about it, who they're pulling for in the election. That's not me calling them out. It's not me saying they're trash. Not me saying take their broadcasting license, but they're clearly pulling for her. Newspapers and news stations have endorsed candidates since before I was born. We're not talking about groundbreaking stuff here. So if you're them and that's what you want, do you really want to put him on the air and have that crowd cheer USA? You're spending the rest of your broadcasting hours telling everybody you need to live in fear of this dude, and the first moment your audience sees him in an environment you don't control, it's middle America going bonkers for him. So yes, was there a little like, you also gave them the plausible denial side of the sports, my man.
The Stansberry Show
I just keep waiting for a lotto ticket out of my boring existence.
on Rock 106.9.
New stuff from the Struts, that part of New True Tuesday also. New Morgan Wallen, new Breaking Ben. We'll do that at 9. And we'll rock the bank too. Pass out that $1,000 keyword, the first of Tuesday out there. Talked about how, NBC kind of getting dragged on the internet now for showing Taylor Swift a million times, only showing Trump the one time there the other night, Jets-Steelers game. I think they're going to use the plausible deniability of, leaving the politics out of sports. I think they're going to use that. And also, I think they're going to, and this would be, I think, more legitimate, is that Taylor's an entertainer. And we're in the entertainment business. And so, yeah, she's also dating a player. So, like, she's somehow involved in this. Like, let's not pretend players' wives and husbands hasn't been part of this forever, because it has been. It has been when they're in the owner's box. Oh, look, it's nice. She's not freezing cold. And like, I mean, come on. I mean, we see this a lot. I don't know why people have lost their minds about it. And I understand NBC, who has their. I mean, look, they're rooting away, and they don't want to help him. So yeah, they probably looked at it as like, dude, we're leaving the politics out of sports thing. Show them once so we can say we did it, so nobody can say we didn't. Do that, and then don't make it part of the broadcast. We don't want to get accused by our audience of helping him. Because that's what would have happened. Oh my God, NBC, the media, see, now they're in Trump's camp. And like, that's what would have happened. It would have been crazy, but it would have happened. And I think that was probably part of that decision. Yes. I really am. I don't know if I necessarily need to see him at the football game. I get why politicians do stuff like that. It does kind of sell that I understand you thing. We all know it's a put on, but sometimes you need to be put on. Like you do. Because when you don't get the put on, you're like, wait a minute, where's the put on? Like, where's that? Why are we dropping that off? I talked about that a little bit. Want to talk about Monday Night Football? Baker Mayfield. Pretty good stat line. Let me look it up. I had it here earlier. Let me see it. I got it right here. Baker touchdowns, 2 picks. Was sacked 3 times, from what I understand. Now that sounds pretty good. Until you click this little button over here that says Baltimore. Lamar, 17 of 22, 281 yards, and 5 total touchdowns. Yes, the Deshaun thing did not work out. But Lamar doing that and beating Baker by 10 is why the Browns thought they had to get better at quarterback. They didn't get better. They thought they had to get better, and they weren't wrong about it. You got Burrow and Lamar. Plenty of people who have been giving Baker Mayfield plenty of credit this season have also now added the context that Baker looks great standing next to other NFC South quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, one of those national hosts who has been giving Baker a ton of credit actually messed up the other day on his show and said, put him in the AFC North and let's see how it looks. Forgetting that's where Baker had been drafted. And so there's that. I'm not saying they made the right call with Deshaun, but I've said from the beginning, do I understand why this team feels like they need to get better at the most important position in all of team sports? The answer was yes, I understood it. Now, like a lot of guys who thought they were upgrading when they went to go cheat on their wife. Turns out, yeah, lost them wife and kids, though. Lost them kids, though. How's that every other weekend? Daddy, why don't you live here? Daddy was trying to upgrade. So, trying to upgrade, get your hand bit now. Like, you can do that, and the Browns have. They got their hand bit here a little bit. But look, Baker Mayfield gave you a pretty good night last night. Not good enough. Not good enough to beat Lamar. Lamar special. So they were looking to try to go get special. They didn't. That's what they were trying to do. And last night's game proves it. That's that right there. Baker can ball. He can ball. And still it's like, nah. By the way, everybody's telling you he's got a Super Bowl roster. He's got this, he's got that, he's got this, he's got that. What he doesn't have is the Ravens number. That's why the Browns made that decision. Where they went to go do it, I understood about Myles Garrett. Two schools of thought. What do? No, Myles, future Hall of Famer. You need him. Benchmark of your defense. Rock solid. Can't seem to really work talent. And I've been saying, I kind of feel like the NFL's got a little bit of a problem with ego. It's Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, and Jeremiah Owusu. I don't care which pick in the draft you get. Get to that. Show. Or tapestries. There's an injury to DT, and it has nothing to do with Kevin Stefanski. We can go back to Hugh Jackson. Gonna have to watch the tape. Press conferences aren't. This is disguises it's for you as a way to advertise. That's all it is. And most coaches are never going to tell you what you really want to know. Keep it 100, even when they tell you that they are keeping it 100. No, they're not. They're not going to tell you anything. So Kevin Stefanski's version of we got to watch the tape is we got to be better. Because there's a term, and there's a term for a reason. Coach speak. We are not entitled to all the truth we want. That's not how smart businesses run. I am happy that my industry does not tell you every last thing. There are things that's like, nah, dude, they don't necessarily, it's nothing nefarious. We don't have to make sure they never know. But there are things that's like, dude, they don't need to know that. And there are things about where you were, right? I mean, it's kind of how it goes. But fans, and we're sold that without us, there wouldn't be any of that and all that. You know what I mean? So we think we have ownership over all of this stuff. We really don't, though. We really don't. And so we talked a little bit about Myles Garrett, because it feels as if he could be on this list of players who could be moved, depending on who you ask. The theory is, well, Myles brings you the haul, because he probably would. Now, he is having a surgery at the end of the season. I think wait for the Baltimore game to be over and him to tell you he's getting it earlier. We'll see. I could be wrong. Other people are like, dude, you can't. I own to be used wisely. It's fair. Like, if you, at where you work, if they keep hiring for the same position over and over and over again, and they can never get it right, sooner or later, you do got to question, who's hiring this position? Is it about the fact that it's a revolving door, or are we missing giant red flags that maybe somebody else would have seen? Is that, I mean, because that's where Browns fans feel like they are now with Andrew Berry, which is like, dude, I don't know if I want him to get the picks. I can understand that. I'm not sure I share it. I can understand it. Yesterday, you know what I saw a lot of Browns fans say? Just do whatever you got to do to go get Shedeur Sanders. For those of you that don't spend a lot of time watching a ton of football, especially college football, Shedeur Sanders is the young son of Deion Sanders. Shedeur, I'm told, is the best college quarterback in the country this year. And he does seem to be a human highlight reel. And so a lot of teams are looking at him like, oh, the number one overall pick, at which most people believe Shedeur will go, number one overall. Again, they say transformational. So how do you acquire the number one pick? Well, you want to tank some more? Want to trade some assets away and try to move up in the draft to go get that pick? You think Deion Sanders is going to let his son come to the Cleveland Browns? I think if you're putting all your eggs in the Shedeur Sanders basket, what you're doing there is begging for an Eli Manning Charger situation. The hell are you talking about? Eli Manning played for the Giants. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's what's going to happen if the Browns find themselves in the running to take Shedeur Sanders. I think Deion's going to be talking to you about, I ain't let my kid go play there. He'll sit out. Like, he'll literally, we're not doing it. Or, what will Deion say to the Cleveland Browns? All right, but you all are a mess. And I'm Neon Deion, honey. So here's what we're going to do. Start waving goodbye to Kevin Stefanski. Bye-bye. Thanks for playing. Bye-bye. I'll come in and coach. I'll bring my son to play quarterback, and we'll get this thing turned around. I think if you get Shedeur Sanders, and again, this is just speculation. I could be dead wrong. I could be way off base here. I think if you see Shedeur Sanders in a Cleveland Browns jersey, you are seeing Deion Sanders on the sideline as the head coach. If you're okay, and I'm not even saying you shouldn't be okay with it. I'm just saying, if you're think you're getting Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Now, I've been wrong about plenty, and I mean plenty, especially when talking about this team. Going back to the Myles Garrett, a listener of mine reminding me of